those marks. He does not get the second one. The Cavaliers have gone 4 of 8 and looking in control. 1:02 left in the opening quarter. Here's Exum. And that's good. His first bucket of the game.
Exum outstanding, absorbing the contact, just pulling his weight with the defense.
Defended by Hardaway. Pass to Young. Puts up a 3. That shot off. And Cleveland will come the other way. Their last meeting was in this building. They were able to come out on top. And you know they had a great plan going into that. Outside T. Back to Capella. This one for 3. Oh, the Hawks again. Cannot hit it. Gotta love how they've been crashing the boards. Fighting hard for every miss. Garland is Sexton in the backcourt tandem. Then it's Andre Drummond. And it's Junior. And it's Nance in at the 4th spot. So that's his own floor for the Cavs. Counts the basket.
How about the confidence of the catch and shoot of Mr. Larry Nance Jr.? Okay, we see you.
Pass to Louisier. It's Reddish. Covered by Junior. And Reddish gets it to go.
Well, defensively, to me, you've got to do a better job communicating once the screening comes.
To the inside. That's good. From Drummond. Obviously by Junior. Drummond's got his 3rd bucket of the night.
Well, you can just tell how skilled Junior is by the looks he creates for others. Defenses know what this guy can do.
Reddish misses.
Wade did everything right till he got to the rim. He needs to finish that.
More to hear from Allie LaForce.
John Collins grew up in a military family. His parents both served for decades. He said, quote, there were a lot of guidelines and regulation. It gives you discipline. And one thing the military shows you is that you're fighting for something bigger than yourself. And maybe that.
Vice Chair of the Board of the Atlanta Hawks. What's that experience been like for you?
So, BA, it has been incredible. Really a dream come true. After playing 19 years in the
Oh my God.
to now be on the ownership side, to have the responsibility of being a steward of this franchise in the Atlanta market. There's some incredibly tough decisions that we make on a daily basis. It's in the best interest of our franchise. I'll tell you what, I love every minute of it. I love engaging with our fans, our partners, and doing everything in our power to put a great product out there on the floor. And ultimately,
Bro, you don't even cut to the rim.
And here's T. Looking at his production. Close to 12 points a game. Here's Reddish. Drummond defending. Junior outside. We've got 1:28 left in the second. Going inside.
There you see how explosive.
Too strong for y'all. You gotta hit the weight room, man. inicio.
But not with she and Kamala become friends.
Yeah.
But all kidding aside, it's a matter of the thing we are simpatico on our.
Exemplified the grit and grind of the city and how he played. Talk about hard nose. That's Junior.
The three is up.
Come on.
With the rebound.
Well, when you've been struggling as he has, you love that your teammates have really stepped up and taken the challenge.
Pass to Fernando. Oh, a big finish with a one-handed jam. Hey.
Holy fuck.
is a different 52.
How so?
Because it's warmer for whatever reason. It's just when it gets 45 in LA, we shutting down, locking down everything. We staying home. It's just, we good.
See, New York, when it's like 45, 50, like I'm wearing a t-shirt.
Ice skating.
I'm wearing a t-shirt. I'm wearing a t-shirt. I'm wearing
not at the crib, man.
Yeah.
You know, when it rains in LA, it's locked down. We should just, school's closing. We just, right?
Even a sprinkle, like the break.
Yeah, it's like, all right, what are you doing today? I think I'm going to stay home. Oh, I'll probably go into work at around noon. I'll be back by 3.
It's dangerous out there. It's wet.
That's the way LA is, man.
It's dangerous out there. It's wet.
This dude have a signature win. Baker may do a deeper dive.
Oh, you remind me of Megatron, thinking he was giving him an ultimate compliment. Well, it backfired. DK took it the wrong way, went out and torched the Eagles. This week, the Seahawks play the Giants. Giants head coach Joe Judge knows this. He knows what happened last week. He knows he has to choose his words carefully. He knows he wants to put nothing out there that could insult, potentially, DK Metcalf. So he decides to say this. This guy's a rare guy, he says. You try to simulate his size and speed and playmaking down the field, you don't have a lot of guys walking the earth like him. The Giants are screwed. What kind of bulletin board material did you just give him? Insulting the guy like that. Ripping the feet out from underneath him. What are you doing, Joe Judge? That's why you're on the hot seat. I can't wait to see what the Seahawks do to the Giants this weekend. Your little experiment in first place, not going to last too much longer. All right. Let us move on now. A little drawing a blank. Baker and the Browns headed down to Tennessee to face the Titans on Sunday. Both these teams 8-3. Both these teams with a physical run-first identity. Quarterbacks may make the difference in this one, though, which is why I will be watching every last damn second of it. But Brandon, the player you are most excited to watch in Week 13, I apologize, I feel actually bad about it, in Week 13 is blank.
Yeah, we can only put you guys can only put mines up there because I think I have the coolest one, and that's Dez Bryant. How do you not go with Dez Bryant with this one? One of the coolest stories in football this year, guy. Injured, kind of an ugly breakup with the Cowboys. Maybe it was with Jason Garrett, but then are we bringing him back? We want to bring him back. We don't want to bring him back. He's sitting in the suite with Jerry Jones watching games. But Dez Bryant is the answer here. Look, the Ravens need a win. They need to throw the ball. There's a lot of talk about the passing game. Insert Dez Bryant. I think he scores a touchdown against his former team, and this is going to be a cool story after the game.
That's a great answer, Brandon, and it's an unexpected answer. My answer is even more unexpected. And it's a guy we rarely talk about on this show, but I feel like he deserves a little more attention. Reigning AFC Player of the Month, Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes! You know who he's playing this weekend? His favorite team to play, the Broncos. 6-0 against the Broncos. First career win against the Broncos. First iconic play, the left-hand pass on Monday Night Football against the Broncos. The first snow game he ever played in was against the Broncos. Suffered his one and only major injury of his career against the Broncos, but he's never lost to them. Chance to go 7-0. Chiefs are a nice little 14-point favorites. Mahomes this past month, I think, had 14 touchdowns, 1 pick, and 1,600 yards passing in only 4 games. So he won Player of the Month last month. He's going to start to win Player of the Month this month en route to winning MVP. So I'm most excited to watch underrated, up-and-coming, little rapscallion Patrick Mahomes, Kevin. So I'm most excited to watch.
Pittsburgh. And yes, well, first and foremost, both quarterbacks. A game of Oklahoma, C.D. Lamb for about 3 yards. Let's check on the ball. As he's inside the 40.
Let's go live, Bunny and Clyde. Yada-da. Yuckmouth TV, subscribe to your motherfucking guy, man. Bad news.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. If music were organised like a professional sport, soul and
Somebody just did. With Ego Double G, he feeling festive. Got Santa in his belt, working round the clock. Holidays are here, so the child don't stop. Got child meat, child low. Oh, it's Christmas, so child. Ho, ho, ho. You know I got my gold leaf burgers on the way, on a solid gold tray, on a solid gold sleigh. Ice skating to get dough when the snow falls. Carbonara with them dough balls. Yes, please, feast at the crib, see? Catch burritos dropping down the chimney. Hear the jingle bells? It must be stuffed crust cheese. Trust me, I keep it popping like the hot jerk chicken that I got in my stocking. Happy holidays, it's a doggy dog Christmas. A lot of treats to complete on the wish list. Whatever the venue, hit up the menu. Somebody's Chill, Santa, I ain't act twice. Everything I order, both naughty and nice. Whatever the venue, hit up the menu. Somebody say, ain't nothing changed here. Getting sushi delivered by a reindeer. Most wonderful time of the year. It's a just eat anything vibe over here. Think outside the box if your plan is nothing more than a cold turkey sandwich. Got a attempt at a meal like a Mac. Limitless snacks in my just eat sack. You ever see an elf carrying a roast ham? When I sit in the whip bumping slow jams, the weather outside turn cold and I stay cooler than an ice up snowman. Warming up with a miso snoop. Me so bossy and me so snoop. Got my man Mr. Claus on the line. Let him know that it's just eat time. Happy holidays, it's a doggy dog Christmas. A lot of treats to complete on the wish list. Whatever the venue, hit up the menu. Somebody say, just eat. Chill, Santa, I ain't act swipe. Everything I order, both naughty and nice. Whatever the venue, hit up the menu. Somebody say, just eat. Oh, didn't know? Well, you know now. Put your feet up, you ain't gotta go out. Party food in the blink of an eye. Mistletoe, kiss the year goodbye. Now it's December, so remember, you can get anything you spit for. Nachos, I'm stacking chips. Singing carols with the click and a rack of ribs. The gift of giving is what I'm in for. Got tinsel wrapped around a spring roll. Yep, hit the pad with my pad tie. Bringing joy to the world, I'm that guy. Happy holidays, it's a doggy dog Christmas. A lot of treats to complete on the wish list. Whatever the venue, hit up the menu. Somebody say, just eat. Chill, Santa, I ain't act twice. Everything I order, both naughty and nice. Whatever the venue, hit up the menu. Somebody say, just eat.
runners in the league over the last 3 years, right? I mean, this... Cleveland Browns at the Tennessee Titans, another fascinating matchup. I got to check the weather for Nashville. It's week 13. It's December. Games are won on the ground, Sam. You've got Derrick Henry, Mr. Fourth Quarter, Mr. December run the ball guy. Wear you down. You don't want to tackle him. You got him on one side. You got Cleveland, our best run blocking offense, entire offense, offensive line, but yes, the entire offense in the league, plus two other dudes who can't tackle, and Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. Nick Chubb and Derrick Henry are running to be considered the best 2 or 3 runners in the league over the last 3 years, right? I mean, this could be a 2.5-hour game where they both try to run 45 times and just, it's a will-imposing game here, Cleveland and Tennessee.
Yeah, which is kind of fun that way, right? This all passing all the time, NFL, it's actually interesting to watch two teams that are out there to establish the run relentlessly and see how much they can actually take the ball out of the hands of the quarterback.
Can I get the refo on this game, Austin? Can we make a switch here? I want to be really, tuned into this one. Because it's going to be quick, too.
The difference between the two, I think, is that the Titans do at least trust their quarterback, to pass when they need to. I don't. Yeah, I think so. It doesn't mean that they're right to, or that it will happen, and they don't want to do it. Like, they trust him in the same way that this is not plan A, but if we have to go to plan B, we're okay doing it. I don't think the Browns trust Baker Mayfield to go to plan B. Like, or even if they do, they shouldn't at this point. Baker Mayfield I think he's become a pretty good one-read quarterback. That if you give him his first read and it's open, he can stand back and deliver some pretty attractive passes, really accurate stuff right to where they need to go. But if you don't, if you make him move, if you make him go to read number 2, read number 3, if you make him work through a progression, he just isn't comfortable at that yet. And there's no reason for it not to be. Like, this is the weird thing about Baker. Somebody, I forget who it was, posted this chart on Twitter that was his completion percentage over expectations on a per game basis.
SIPO.
Yes. And some quarterbacks are like in the same area relative to everybody else every single week, right? They're consistently above or below where everybody else is. Baker's all over the place, right? There's just no logic to what he does. He's either freakishly deadly accurate, way better than anybody else against that specific defense, or he's at like the other end of the scale, where he looks like he couldn't complete anything against the team. Like, trying to evaluate what is going on with him is absurd at this point. It's madness.
It is confusing, but I think your points that you've made, which is like the weeks where the first read is there, and those are even tough to predict, because when I've criticized Baker, it's when the first read is not taken. It's kind of like what we used to say about Russell Wilson, where there are just certain games where he just doesn't see the field and things just are off. This is more extreme for Baker, but he just doesn't run the quick game well. He just doesn't do enough of the easy stuff well. And all that said, they're still producing offensively. He still has the ability, as you said, to throw the laser deep comeback and the seam route, and would create these chunk plays. We still just need to see more consistency from him.
But he has by far the 2 highest of those games against the Bengals. Both of the highest ones are Baker, right at distance. Like, it's him way off into the stratosphere, then him again, then a gap, and then other people.
So if Baker's playing the Big 12, it's fine.
Yes, pretty much. Like, if you don't make him go to a
There it is!
and let him hit his open target and still fire the ball onto a bullseye. But if you interrupt that process in any way, shape, or form, his production drops off a cliff. And that's a problem, because most defenses are going to at least be able to knock you off your initial process if it's just stand back, look at the guy, hit him.
You mentioned Tannehill on the other side of the Tennessee trusts Tannehill. The last few weeks we've seen the complete opposite. 25 dropbacks, 30 dropbacks, 36 against Baltimore, 24 last week against the Colts. And I know there's game flow involved there, but like the Bears game, they couldn't score at all. Indianapolis, they lost. They had to play catch up. He still only dropped back 30 times. Last week, that's the first Indy game. Last week against Indianapolis, they were up early. The run game was incredible, and he was just along for the ride and had a, 70-yarder from A.J. Brown, helping the stats just a little bit, threw the ball okay. Tannehill has definitely regressed from his 90 grade of last year, but he's got one elite game against Buffalo. You take that out, which we love to do. Take out one game, and here's the story, right? You take that out, he's a 76th graded quarterback. That is Ryan Tannehill. That is his career. That's like every single year of his career, right? He's 68, 80, 75, 68, 74. He's just in that range. Tannehill is outside of one. Take one game out, Tannehill's been Tannehill. And, it's fine. I think we even said coming into the year, like, Tennessee will still be fine offensively if Tannehill regresses back into his career baseline. Now, the overall body of work is still his second best year. Statistically, it's his second best year. PFF grade is his second best year. He's got 23 touchdowns, 4 picks, almost 8 yards per attempt. It's all really nice. So Tennessee has still an efficient pass game, plus the Derrick Henry factor. I think that's going to be too much for Cleveland in this one.
I think really the question is which team can tackle the other team's superhuman athletes, right?
Tackling.
Right. Tennessee have basically been riding for the last and stop, right? Late in the games, they've been busting through tackles. They've been rattling off massive plays that had no business being scores, or just rolling through contact and putting up yards on the ground with Derrick Henry. And then the Browns have those two running backs in Chubb and Kareem Hunt, who people just can't get on the ground, right? Nick Chubb is averaging 4.4 yards per carry this season after contact. For his career, he's over 4 yards per carry after contact.
Same.
And Kareem Hunt is breaking tackles at a higher rate. Kareem Hunt has 43 broken tackles between catches and carries. So those two guys are an absolute nightmare for defenses to try and stop. And the same thing is true with Tennessee, with A.J. Brown and Derrick Henry. So really, honestly, this game largely comes down to like which defense just doesn't get embarrassed by two freakish athletes on the other side.
So we're expecting a ton of the run game. 40 carries each side, right? They're going to be trying to run it down each other's throats. One other matchup that needs to be highlighted. Myles Garrett's back. And the Titans tackles. We know we've got Dennis Kelly at right tackle. David Quessenberry is playing left tackle now. Played all right recently.
Isaiah at least got on the field for 3 snaps of the kneel downs.
That was the kneel downs?
Yeah, it was the 3 that they put on the second team to kneel down at the last plays.
When you write your weekly first-round report that he's saving.
Well, not anymore he isn't, because I have to write him up for his 3 snaps that he was there at right tackle as they took knees. Before it was just didn't play.
What was his evaluation? How did he look?
Solid grade.
So Quessenberry's played all right these last few weeks. But Myles Garrett.
They don't have anybody that can block Myles Garrett. Whether it's Quessenberry, whether it's Dennis Kelly, whether it's Ty Sambrailo, whether it's Isaiah. Like, there isn't a body in that building that's capable of playing this game that is capable of blocking Myles Garrett.
So he's a game wrecker, and I think that's the dude to watch. I like Tennessee. Dudes is the name of the game here. The dudes are going to win the game once again. So Tennessee's dudes have been incredible in recent weeks. That's A.J. Brown making superhuman plays. Derrick Henry making his plays. I'm leaning Tennessee because of those things. If Cleveland is going to win, their dude Myles Garrett needs to have one of those game-wrecking types of games.
Titans are 6 points favorites. 6-point favorites.
Vegas is leaning. Cleveland can keep it tight, I think, but Tennessee's a better team.
I think they probably are too, but I do like Cleveland to cover that. That's a big number for. Like, the Browns are 8-3, and 2 of their losses are against 2 of the most fearsome defenses in the NFL, particularly early in the year. Like, they haven't got many bad marks on their copybook so far this season.
Copybook, huh?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. This is a vintage podcast, Steve.
Thank you.
Yeah. 92 Jim Kelly references.
You're making fun of me for 1992 when you got the Billabong sweater on there from.
Yeah. Austin asked me before we started this show, is that sweatshirt from 1999? And I think it genuinely is. Like, honestly, this might have been bought in 1999. It is 20 years old.
Speaking of shirts, my wife picked this out for me.
Yeah?
I would never pick it out. She said, no, it looks good. And feedback's not strong so far.
No.
And I told her, and she just kind of laughed. So,
yeah.
Here I am.
I mean,
can we edit my shirt out, somebody?
Yeah.
Not attractive. The point I wanted to make here, remember a couple weeks ago when Baltimore played Tennessee?
Yes.
Baltimore was favored by 6.
Yes.
Like, I know things change. That was 3 weeks ago. Baltimore at the time we recorded the podcast was favored by 6 over Tennessee. Tennessee is favored by 6 over Cleveland. I know it's not this apples to apples thing, but would you ever say that the Ravens are 12 points better than the Browns?
Based off the first time they played, maybe.
Maybe matchup wise,
right?
It is.
Yeah, that's the interesting thing is that like the Browns are the only difficult game left on Baltimore's schedule, and they absolutely throttled that Browns offense the last time they played. Like it might just be a terrible matchup for Cleveland.
Should we be here saying the Browns are the worst 8-3 team we've seen?
No, because I think they're a good team.
But they've got a negative point differential.
Right.
It's like every week we say, what's going to go right with the Browns? I don't know. Hopefully Baker plays well. Like that's what they're banking on every single week to really maximize their potential. They keep stumbling into wins and they're 8-3.
Yeah. So there's definitely a degree to which it's hard to be seen as an amazing team if your quarterback isn't playing well. On the other hand, I think that the points differential is a bit of a misguided number as well, right? Because they lost 38-6 to the Ravens, and they lost 38-7 to the Steelers, right?
Yeah, of course.
I'm not saying, but the point is that they are horrible matchups for this team, and they get whooped when they face them. And probably will the next time, right?
So good teams are bad matchups for the Browns. That's
not good teams. Those two teams specifically, two teams that are either arguably the best defense in the NFL, or a defense that's just a nightmare for a quarterback that doesn't want to go to read number 2 to deal with. Against anybody else, they're okay, and they don't lose ugly when they lose. Like the Raiders, it was 16-6, albeit in ugly conditions, rain and whatnot. But my point is, their points differential is going to get skewed because the two teams they lose against are nightmare matchups for them. So they're going to lose harder versus them than they would against just a generic good team.
Come out here and say that the undefeated Steelers aren't the best team in the league. We have to come out here and say that the 8-3 Browns, looking at their wins, the one good team they beat was the Colts. That was it. Their 3 losses are to the Ravens and the Steelers, as you mentioned, also the Raiders in a game that you just didn't want to count because it was cold. But they didn't even score double digits in any of those 3 games.
Sure.
Against good teams. They've beaten the Bengals twice.
Yep.
The football team.
Yep.
I mean, they play the NFC East.
Yeah.
The NFC East is skewing our perception of every other team in the league. The freakonomics of the NFC East is just throwing everything off.
They beat the Texans after the Texans started to play okay.
It was cold, though. That doesn't count either. It was cold. It was cold and lightning and hailstorm and all that stuff.
I think the Browns are not a bad team.
What's the best thing the Browns do? They play cold weather games and they won 2 out of 3.
They might not be as good as 8-3, but they're not a bad team, and they're not like the biggest fraud 8-3 ever.
They're going to finish 2 and 3. 2 and 3 in these last 5 games.
2 and 3, losing to the Browns,
Ravens, Steelers.
Yeah,
and they're the best shot. I think them and the Bills are the best shot at making the Steelers, lose their undefeated season.
I think they're. I don't want to use the term definitely because but they're probably going to lose to the Steelers and the Ravens. This is the game that they have a shot to cause an upset against another good team, and then you would expect them to beat the Giants and the Jets.
I like the Titans. The Tennessee dudes. Get the job done here.
Thanks for watching the PFF YouTube channel, and if you want to subscribe, all you have to do is push the button. Don't forget everything you get. A little fantasy, push the button. A little green line for the gambling aspects of the game, push the button. College football, push the button. The YouTube channel from PFF.
Booker. Now, Josh Jacobs has not been ruled out, but he left last week's game early. He hasn't practiced this week with that ankle injury. He cannot go. You got to put Booker in your lineup. He's running behind that offensive line against this Jets defense. We've seen him put up big numbers this year. The last time Booker had double-digit carries was back in Week 10 against the Broncos, guys, and he put up 83 total yards and 2 touchdowns. Keep your eye on Josh Jacobs and his status leading into Week 13. Another running back for you, Damian Harris. I usually stay away from Patriots backfields, but he had a down week against the Cardinals last week. I think he bounces back. This week it's the Chargers on the docket. Their defense has allowed double-digit fantasy points to 10 different running backs over the last 7 weeks. I think it's a safe option this week, and he's actually the 10th highest scoring running back over the last 5. He's averaging just under 80 yards a game over that span if you're in the bad zone.
Oh, so my business.
That's a special part of All-Star Festivities. And that's really because it always provides us with such an entertaining look at the next generation of NBA stars. And of course, where the pressure's off and it's all about having fun. I think we really not seeing these young players are. And nobody knows the on top of it. If you go behind your back or you try something out of the ordinary. And that means we get to see these young guys pull off some amazing plays in this game. And now the opening left for Team World. And Jeff Clark. And it's Fernando with the wide down low. And it's something about the rising stars' challenge in teaching these young players a chance to really do something special on a national stage, maybe for the first time in their professional career. Here is a Cobra. Zion Williamson making his last shot. Down low. Here's Barrett. He can't get that on the ball. So USA will send it the other way. You brought the big stage, these young guys run tonight. And so many of the fans, Greg, are still, just getting familiar with these players. It really is a great welcome to the NBA moment. It really is a showcase. And for each player, whether they have great moments or not, just being chosen to participate is a huge honor. And it says a lot about where they stand amongst their peers. Now, here's Barrett. And a lot of confidence in that one. So he'll shoot for the game. And for me, this is always one of the best weeks of the year. So much fun for
the longest time, and all of a sudden, remember, they only had their top 10. Would it just get pushed? So everything else is a failure. So you consider last year's Tennessee Titans continue the way playoffs for things. First, let me do.
They are not destined for the Super Bowl, but they should be in the Super Bowl conversation because all those other teams started 9-3, so we can start talking about the Super Bowl. And because I'm so optimistic, I'm gonna start designing some Browns Tampa Bay stuff. It's like the orange, and it's like
I'm with you
trees,
too.
it's Cleveland,
And
it's like
Cleveland,
Tampa Bay. I'll start looking up Airbnbs, buddy. I'll start looking up Airbnbs.
Go ahead, Brandon.
And I'm with you too. I'm with you too. Look, you're bold. I love that you're leaning into the unpopular. I love that you're leaning into, this risk. You're the only one on television, maybe another person is standing on the table saying, oh, the Browns, oh, Baker Mayfield. So I'm with you, man. Like, that takes a lot of guts to sit here week after week and defend the Cleveland Browns. So I'm with you, Wilds. Great job. I'll start designing some things as well. They're on their way to Tampa.
Good. Okay. Tampa.
What is it, Nick?
So, well, it's a lot of things. First, let me deal with Wild's idiotic graphic. You should ask Brandon for Sean Payton's number, because if 9-3 is the key, then they obviously should throw this week's game to the Falcons, because God forbid he gets to 10-2. Also, we should have our graphics department make dueling graphics of the 20 teams that started 9-3 and made the Super Bowl, and the 106 teams that started 9-3 and didn't. It might be the most ludicrous point I've ever heard anyone make, but I understand why you're making it. Because the Browns, who last year people pretended on this show were a Super Bowl dark favorite, and then we looked it up, and literally no one on television or radio nationally who had their picks documented picked the Browns to go to the Super Bowl. And this year, no one picked them to go to the Super Bowl. It was unpopular to pick them to go to the playoffs. Now that we know they're going to be in the playoffs, we have to move the goalposts because we have to find a way to say they fit. We have to. Brandon.
But we're not moving the goalposts.
What is a successful season for the Cardinals? What is a successful season for the Cardinals? Okay,
no,
so
not
they
the
go
Cardinals.
11
All 32 teams, Super Bowl. No, successful season is Super Bowl for every team. If you make it to the playoffs and you lose,
so everything else is a failure. So you consider last year's Tennessee Titans season a failure.
Failure. You don't win the Super Bowl. That's one goal. Failure. Yeah, like I think they should be proud that they're 8-3. I think they should be proud that they turned things around. But if you don't win the Super Bowl, then what are we cheering for? Oh yeah, we're 8-3. We made it to the playoffs and we got knocked out in the first one. No, that's not a win.
Brandon, what you're cheering for is assuming the world doesn't end this year. It is a step towards that. Assuming sports continue the way sports have gone.
How many years do we have to wait? How many years do we have to wait to take another step forward to be? It's been how many years? You just said it earlier on the show. They haven't won a playoff game since Bill Belichick.
Right, exactly right. Which is why making the playoffs is a massive positive step because it's been so long, because they have had one double-digit win season in 25 years. That's why this idea that it is not across sports for the Atlanta Hawks this year, their goal is to make the playoffs. For the Brooklyn Nets, it's to make the finals. For the Lakers, it's to win the title.
Nick, you know what we're going to do? Nick, this is what we're going to do. This is what we're going to do, Nick. We're going to give them a trophy for making it to the playoffs. How about we do that? The team that turned the corner and they made it to the playoffs in a very long time, we're going to give them the trophy.
You have literally told us that teams hang banners in their stadiums for making the playoffs, for winning divisions, and yet they don't win the Super Bowl. The Browns would love that, Joe. No, I'm not unmuting you. I'm not unmuting you.
Please.
I'll talk to you Monday.
Please
I'm not talking to any of you jerks until Monday. This is ridiculous.
Unmute me.
Welcome to Undisputed live from Los Angeles. I'm Alex Curry here with Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharp. Good morning, guys. How we doing this Friday?
Good morning, Alex. I'm doing great.
I just have one request today, please. Just one day, I don't want to talk about LeBron. Just for this day. No, I will talk about Josh Gordon. I'll talk about how great Aaron Rodgers is. I'll talk about how bad Tom Brady has been. But no LeBron. Please.
Okay,
just for one day.
I won't say your name. I'll say Go James.
Oh, thank you.
Does that count?
Yep. Here we go.
Well, sorry to burst your bubble, Skip, because we are starting with LeBron. The Lakers, who have secured their superstars this week. LeBron signed a 2-year extension. Anthony Davis got a 5-year deal. Now, with the exception of one title, all other Laker championships have come in groups with no more than 2 years apart at a time. So LeBron and AD got their first one together a couple of months ago. So, Shannon, will this become another Lakers dynasty?
You would ever say?
And Alex is a what? A huge Laker fan. Born and raised in Los Angeles.
Alex said, with the exception of maybe a handful of. So normally they come like 3s and 2s and 3s.
Yeah.
So, yeah. How are we defining dynasty, Skip? Tell me how you define dynasty.
3.
Okay, 3. I will say, Skip, if they stay healthy, because this is unprecedented. Because normally we see teams that get 3, their best players are in their prime. Kobe, Shaq, Shaq was barely in his 20s. Shaq was what, 24, 25. Michael Jordan, when he wrapped up his second three-piece skip, he was 35. We got LeBron about to be 36, the best player, so we've never seen this before. Also, luck plays a large part of this skip because the Warriors dynasty got started.
Thank you.
Kyrie and Kevin Love were injured. Also, what happened? Chris Paul injured his hamstring, so that helps. So a lot of things have to go into it. Skip, you say 3, and that means 3 and 5 years, so that means LeBron is going to be 40 years of age at the end of this 5-year run. So I'm going to say 80% say they do become a dynasty. If LeBron would say 32, no question about it, I would say they're going to run off 3 the next day, 3-peat. But because he's 36 and we've never seen anything like this, I'm going to say there's an 80% chance, Skip, they get a dynasty and they get 3 titles in 5 years. But probably by year 3, the roles will have to totally reverse. Anthony Davis will hands down have to be their best player, and they're probably going to have to add another piece. So I'm going to say 80% yes, they will become a dynasty. But Skip, this is unprecedented. Like I said, Kobe and Shaq, when they got the 3-peat, you look at McHale, Bird, and Parrish, you look at them, they're in their early 20s. You look at teams, normally their star players are in their early 20s, mid-20s tops. And so we've never seen anything like this. But I'm going to say 80% chance they do become a dynasty.
Okay. I'm going to give you this before I launch all over this. LeBron had the greatest 17th year season in the history of this league. I thought he should have won MVP during the regular season.
Mm-hmm.
I will give you that even going forward into next year, as he turns 36 on December the 30th, so we're getting close, year 18, I'm still going to give you that you have 2 of the top 5 players in the league.
Yes.
And when you have 2 of the top 5, you obviously have a great chance to win it all.
Yes.
So you do have a chance to turn into a dynasty.
Right.
Now, for my gut feeling, I have never in my life heard such delusional gloating as I have to live with every day, getting hit between the eyes from across the table. I love your delusional gloating because the higher the expectations, now that you love the 80% dynasty, the longer and harder the fall. And when they fall next year on their faces, you're going to have a long, hard year right over there in that chair here on Undisputed. That seat is going to get hotter and hotter. You got lucky. Your team got lucky. You got every break imaginable all the way through the bubble. It was meant to be, but it was fluky because in the end, I'm sorry, it was a pandemic championship. In the end, you popped the bubbly in a bubble in which the Clippers did not want to be. You know that, and I know that. To me, your team proved very little last year because of all the breaks. So let's just start with the NBA landscape. You alluded to it in your first salvo. Obviously, there was no Kevin Durant. In sight last year, he was rehabbing his Achilles. And furthermore, he had left Golden State, and all of a sudden, there's no Clay and there's no Steph in Golden State. And incredibly to me, a dynastic Golden State team suddenly turned into the worst team in basketball last year. They had the worst record in basketball.
So you believe Golden State, even without KD, would have beat the Lakers?
No, I just say you would have had a threat. You would have had another obstacle. And if he had opted to stay there, then you would have had undoable.
Well, let's give that's a whole different argument. Now, we got to go by what we got. He was not there.
Okay, so here we come with the Clippers. And they were the favorite going into the season. They were the favorite going into the playoffs. You cannot erase the fact that they were the odds makers' favorite even going into the playoffs.
Yeah.
And you cannot erase the fact that coming out of the All-Star break, they took off. Your team was playing well too, but so were they.
We was playing better, though.
No, you were not playing better.
We beat them at the Bucks.
Okay, you beat them because Avery Bradley made like 19 threes.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what we did.
He had as uncharacteristic a shooting night as you will ever see, and that's why you barely held off the Clippers in that game. The Clippers had ripped off 6 straight games, and Doc was on record as saying, we finally figured it out. We're finally clicking.
Remember, Paul George was coming off double shoulder surgery. So he and Kawhi, for all the regular season, wound up playing just merely 50% of their games.
Right.
So they were taking off. They needed reps. They needed to try to continue to click at a higher and higher level. And what happened right on schedule for your guy? Pandemic hit. All of a sudden, it's wiped out the season. It's almost 5 months off for a LeBron James in year 17 who desperately needed to revitalize his body and get ready for the playoff run.
At any point in time, did he look like he was slowing down?
No, but you know he was on an MVP pace.
Yes.
And I know what would have happened. He would have just kept pushing it and pushing it and pushing it all the way home. And if they had completed an 82-game season, you would have been, I'm going to knock on wood, I don't even like to bring this up, but you would have been in grave jeopardy of him pulling something somehow, getting hurt, being hobbled, going into the playoffs limpy or gimpy. You know it and I know it. He got almost 5 months to get his body right. And we all know LeBron is great at getting his body right. So he went to the bubble not only right physically, but he was right mentally because nobody embraced the bubble better than LeBron did. He turned into the ultimate bubble leader.
But Skip, hold on. I'm just trying to figure this out now. You have told us, and you've been saying this for the last probably 6 or 7 years, that LeBron James is the most mentally weak superstar that we've ever seen.
In the clutch. Yeah. And you know why? You know what? I'm glad you brought that up because there was one bubble game that was a turning point game. You got the break of your life, Mr. James, GOAT James. Remember what happened at the end of Game 2 against the Nuggets in the conference finals? Do you remember this game?
Yeah, I remember we won.
Yeah, I remember that the reason you won was that GOAT James got the play called for him. Remember that? And Rondo said, I locked eyes with LeBron, and he did not move. You know why he didn't move? Because he was 1 for 6 in the fourth quarter, 0 for 3 from 3, and 0 for 1 from the free throw line. So he did not move, and he got saved by an Anthony Davis who looped all the way across the top of the formation, all the way across the top. And I don't know what Plumlee was doing. He goes over like LeBron's going to do something.
He worried about what you seem to be unconcerned about.
GOAT James. The play, according to Rondo, playoff Rondo, was called for GOAT James. Okay. And he froze. The chosen one became the frozen one. And Anthony Davis, wearing Mamba jersey, suddenly channeled Kobe Bryant. And what did he yell as the ball left his hand?
We know it was good.
Kobe! He yelled Kobe.
So let me ask you a
and he ripped it and saved you.
So in other words,
saved you from the infamy of, I froze on the last play.
So let me ask you a question. So you believe had the Nuggets won that game, they would have won the series? Is that what you're saying?
I don't. They were so hot at that point. If it's all of a sudden 1-1, I think you got some bubble trouble. And speaking of bubble trouble, look at what happened to the Clippers. I just want Laker Nation to focus on what happened. Right away, Zubats and Landry Shamet test positive for COVID.
Okay.
So they can't even enter the bubble. Then, right on schedule, Marcus Morris and Jermichael Green, they came very late to the bubble for personal reasons. Then Montrez and Pat Beverly and Lou Williams, they each had to leave the bubble for personal reasons. Obviously, we know each had a different situation that they had to go tend to. And Montrez left and stayed left for a long time. It seemed like a month. And he came back woefully out of shape. He was also out of whack psychologically. He'd gone through the death of his grandmother. He wasn't into the bubble. What did our man Jared Dudley, we're going to talk about him a little later in the show, and some remarks he made about Anthony Davis and LeBron. And what did he say a couple of weeks back? Those boys, meaning the Clippers, those boys did not want to be in that bubble. So they're Doc's up against his whole team doesn't want to be there. In the end, there was that flashpoint with the Bucks in the game that they decided not to play, and the Clippers voted along with the Lakers. We went out, except the Lakers didn't really want out. LeBron just wanted everybody to come up to his room afterwards and say, LeBron, we can't do this. We need you, big guy.
There you go. See, there you go.
And the Clippers truly wanted to leave. They were ready to go.
So why would they want to leave? Why would they want to leave? Why not win a championship? You're right there. You're one of the handful of teams that still have an opportunity to win a championship. What you fight for, what everybody tells me they seem to play for, is a championship. And it's right there on the precipice. And you're like, nah, I'm good.
So they had one injury after another. Pat Beverly pulled his calf. And I know you have no respect for him. You think he's just an empty trash talker.
I got respect for him, but let's not try to make him seem like he Isaiah Thomas or Magic Johnson.
But they didn't have him for the longest time. And all of a sudden, remember, they only had their top 10 players together for 11 regular season games. It's wrong. You can't get right that way. And so then they run into a Nuggets team that obviously has some ability, but as Marcus Morris said just yesterday, we were better than that.
No, you weren't.
Yes, they were way better.
Skip, if you're going to say one game, if the Nuggets beat them one game, like you have to do in football, okay, Skip, I will give you that. Skip, you don't get lucky and beat someone 4 times. There's no way that happens.
They were clearly better to go up 3-1. If you watched the first 4 games, you said, this is a mismatch. If you watched the first closeout game, you say, mismatch, because they got up 15. If you watched the second closeout game, which was game 6, they got up 19. The Clippers are flexing Clippers muscles. It's why the odds makers made them bigger favorites from game to game over Denver than your team was up over Denver.
What you're saying is the equivalent of saying the Yankees were a better team than the Red Sox because they got up 3-0. Well, you lost the next 4. So how can you say you're better if you can't win 1 game of the next 4? How can you say you're better when you can't win 1 game of the next 3? Skip, how do you beat somebody 3 times and you're better than them?
Did the Yankees blow 8-0 leads in the closeout game?
They blew 3-0 leads.
Oh, I got the foul. Fuck.
Were they up 8-9 to nothing in those games?
It's a game within the game. All you have to do is win 1. That lets you know, Skip, when you get that big of a lead and you can't hold it, the other team is better.
Okay, so obviously the Clippers, as we saw in the big bombshell report yesterday in The Athletic, became a troubled team. But they were also a better team than your team.
Skip, how can you be better and troubled at the same time? I thought chemistry was a big part.
Well, they didn't have time, and it helped LeBron to have been there for 1 year with the Lakers. AD was new, but LeBron was not new last year.
Yeah, here's the thing. Just because you're favored doesn't mean you're going to win. It just means the odds maker says, you know what? Looking at what we're looking at their team at the talent level, looking at the other team at the talent level, we believe this team should be favored. Skip, favorites don't win you no games. Playing win you games. And when the rubber needed to meet the road, when it became crunch time, all those dogs and all those mentally tough players that you said and all the other analysts said that were on the Clippers, they folded like a banquet chair at the end of the night. They folded game after game after game. And yet somehow you come to the conclusion that they were better than the Lakers when all they had to do was win 1 game and they could have saw the Lakers.
They clearly geared their whole year. They targeted the Lakers from game 1 when they beat your butts at Staples. They came up out of the basement and beat your butts in game 1 and then on Christmas Day in game 2 against those teams.
How can I target being a senior if I can't pass the freshman classes? You got to target where you are at this moment. Okay. You can't look ahead.
Well, obviously they were looking ahead. And obviously they were playing it.
Fuck yeah, slam dunk contest. Fucking shit show they got this shit set up like. Oh. What? It was weak. close, I can't see this shit. Oh my god. Some. This looks cool. 57's not enough.
Hey, good to see you. Welcome in.
Yeah, we cooled them off. Yeah, I think AD with a Kobe shot.
Hold on, here. From a game 5? We not gonna talk about game 5?
I don't know. You can talk about
When he told Chris Hayes, I'm ending this tomorrow. I'm ending this tomorrow. Watch.
And then just watch what happened, which led to game 1 against the Miami Heat, who somehow made it to the NBA Finals as the 5th seed in the East. You got another huge break, and then you got break upon break upon break, because in game 1, I still cannot believe this happened. The Heat were on a roll, obviously, against Boston. They looked like a team to be reckoned with because they had chemistry, they had togetherness and unity that the Clippers did not have. And right on schedule in game 1, and to me, thank you basketball gods, thank you injury gods, Dragic, their leading playoff scorer, down and out. Bam, heart and soul of the team, the difference maker on that team, out.
They were meaningless.
And Bam was devastated. He came back and tried to play with some.
Oh man, Sean gave him like 25 and 10. But he never Look at this. Kawhi got his second ring out. You believe KD's healthy? Kawhi getting that second ring. Spread love in the stick. Get your next up. KD is 100% healthy. He's back a part of it.
I'll give you that. Life, she's a yes, no back to mess. Early rest. No saints. To win a playoff.
Squeeze that like lemonade. He go over back when he still make 30 points, 35 in the third quarter. And he tried to come back and play game 7. It was over. Magic Johnson getting hurting his hamstring. Injuries are part of the game. You understand that, and that's what I'm saying. And I prefaced it. And I don't like to put a caveat if they stay healthy, but still, this is unprecedented. Normally, we don't see the best players at age 36 starting to lead a dynasty.
Team legit on paper, smooth operation. We deliver, baby. Stepping up, spend a little celebrating. Sit down, we eating at the winners' table. Chasing for them trophies, don't let them stay in motion. Don't lose focus, keep the hope up, go get it.
that dog.
We did all of it. Did we lose game 1 to Portland?
No.
Did we lose game 1 to Houston?
Yeah.
Okay, then. That's how we got the thing down. And we got it.
Sub 500, 8 seed. Way to go. Sub 500.
Everybody skilled.
37.
Let that sink in for a second. We had the best record in the Western Conference. We got 2 of the top 5 players in the NBA. And there were so many people that said, pick from Charles Barkley to a lot of other guys. I don't need to give their name.
Not me.
No name. The team.
I think sweep. Lakers sweep.
Which one is it? This is going to be LeBron stuff is saying. This is the greatest 8 seed ever assembled.
No, I did not say that.
But guess what? Dispatched them. And then we came up to Houston. Oh, you love the beard. Oh, you love Russ. And man, Skip Bayless was doing one-handed push-ups and handstands within those games with the Rockets. And I told him, what did he do? Russ started celebrating, rocking the baby. And Jamal Murray, remember Jamal Murray? Hit that shot and started celebrating.
Send it to my section because I'm brought up the Rockets because I will go to my grave saying
when I put it on the gram, baby. When I put it on snap, baby.
in the off day before game 3. My Anthony faithfully talked about Daniel House as a Washington quote from Mike Anthony. He is also into one of the better players in the league on defense and offense. Daniel House's games that he had against Oklahoma City, 19 points, 9 rebounds, 15 and 10, 21 and 6. Game 2 against
You gotta be fucking kidding me. Oh, that's a bad pass.
Intimidation.
it's a basketball scholarship to Westbury Christian High School in the Houston area. And he gets expelled from there for stealing electronics. He just needed to pay for his drug house. So that continues on to where he finally gets arrested and he is convicted of felony crack cocaine generations. We can't leave the state of Texas. We have to pick and tear. He goes there and immediately gets suspended for drug use and then gets suspended a second time and kicked out of Baylor for drug use. And he says it was Utah for his next second chance. He goes there and gets kicked out. The history we will not know what do you think's going to happen when he gets pro football? 6, 7, I don't know what now. We do not even know some things that are going on in the team. It has been one flame out after another. He's gone to rehab. He can't stay clean for 6 months and decided to celebrate his 6 months. Alcoholic wrecks with parents. So I spent way too much time in my youth in rehab counseling sessions with both my parents. And the one thing I learned is you have to hit bottom before you finally say, okay, am I going to see this thing here? My father just decided I'm out, I'm done, and basically just committed suicide. My mother said, you know what, pick myself up by my bootstraps, I'm going to stick with AA. By the grace of God, she made it. Okay, so it's sink or swim, but both of them, my mother had a near fatal car wreck that finally forced her to hit bottom. This young man, who's only 29 years of age, it seems like he's 40. He should be right in his prime right now. He's never been forced to hit bottom. Hey, yo, right here! The league kept saying, well, you know, again, the league's in a tough spot because you can't deny a young man the right to work in this country if you're capable of suspension that they imposed on you. They got to be full year. You just spent a whole year on it. So, my heart says I wish the league would say no to it so he'd be forced to face his demons and just get it straight, one way or the other. Just get right or don't get right, whatever. Save your life or don't save it, but nobody's going to force him to until finally the league says no to it. And I don't know when that's going to be.
Let's give everything. I don't care. You know, they can keep getting a second chance. They can be a teacher, but there's going to come a time that he won't be just in the NFL.
that's unfamiliar with him. The terminology is a little different, and he's struggling a little bit. I believe year 2 for Brady will be better than year 1, just like I always thought that year 2 would be better for Aaron Rodgers. But we make it seem like Aaron Rodgers was a bum in year 1. All he was 4,000 yards, 26 touchdowns, and 4 picks. Which year? Last year. This last year's first year. We make it seem like, oh, he's not a top pick coming into the season. He's not top 50.
Give it time to blow. See it
Since the start of 2018, for almost 3 years, Tom Brady has 11 interceptions in this year alone. And he's still and everybody else in the NFL would take these numbers.
Hey, when I come over, she be late.
He's absolutely right. People think that you throw with your shoulder, you throw from waist down. And as long as that foundation, those legs, that core is right, you can intercept the football. He's working his guys. Deal at his age, he's not as fast as he was. He's fast enough. He plays certain coverage. He'll jump out of the lane and go.
You can see me in it, the power.
That's the important accuracy that he's demonstrating. But he's absolutely right. He's wrong in that foundation. Just from waist down, he stays flat. And that's what Brady is. From waist down. Look about 20, 50 seconds. But it's still not like he's yoked up. But from waist down, as long as he stays strong, Aaron Rodgers is going to be here to stay.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm about to blow you away with what I'm about to say. In the National Football League, who has improved his QBR from last year to this year by far the most is Aaron Rodgers. His QBR is the worst in his career, and it has fallen for 4 straight years. It was barely above average. This year it's 85. He's improved by 31 points in QBR. 31 points, that's got to be scale of 0 to 100, and in that game he threw 2 times, lost only 1, but he had 3 turnovers. And what did management conclude after that blowout loss at San Francisco?
So if I'm taking a stage, I need an intimate room. I need you to feel what you hear. See, I'm no different than you. See, I grew up with my mama in the same house as my papa. They tried making me proper, but they like, I'm black. I'm back. I got it. We young. We strong. That right. Perform. I'm work. I kill. We march. It's me. It's stone. For our earth since they walk through to change all the language on the paper that they talk through. Yeah, is that crazy? That be off you. Pull up in a brown suit, walk in to win a lawsuit. Walk out with the lawyer that the judge don't want to talk to. A coke and a smile, Cuban links and a new plan of action. What demographically? This aggressor ain't passive. I'm tight ratchet, but I can match all vernacular. Finesse the classes in this new bracket. I got it. Hello. I'm black. I'm back. I'm back. I got it. We young. We strong. That right. Perform. I'm work. I kill. We march. It's me. It's stone. No,
told Aaron, grab it! You be the problem. Meaning, if things are something difficult on the field, he can have thin skin, he can be dismissive, he can be all those things. Historically, transcendency, sometimes he can. Sometimes he can, and a lot of times he can't, because we've seen him repeatedly in those situations, such as at Tampa Bay.
Now it's time to put it.
Almost back-to-back.
Now it's time to put it.
Like a lawn chair at a Tampa retirement community.
You gon' get even, how you gon' get even with it? Yes, you were second. Say you didn't want it, and you realize that it's time to put it. Yeah, you gon' get even, how you gon' get even with it? Yes, you hurt yourself. Yeah, say you didn't want it, and you realize that it's time to put it on the shelf. Do the dash, they know it. Put the shit on checkers, better. Play your pumps. Took a different ride, I know they see us. Had to tell my guys to believe us. Y'all was moving slow, I had to speed up.
This is Vince Lombardi leading Brett Favre.
Once my foot is on their gas, no, I won't let up. Looking at them like I know they wanna be us. But they can't be us. I was fed up. Got my head up. Got my head up.
Super Bowl. Aaron Rodgers is 6-6 in the postseason, and of those 6, 5 of them were a little fluky. He got to play against Joe Weber, playing quarterback and Kirk Cousins. There was Dez Audit game. There was the Mason Crossbar game. There was the Odell took it, the boat trip to South Beach to get ready for the game. I wonder about the defense giving up 30 seconds. It's been bad, and sometimes they is not yet working the way I of 11 yards in the second half as Tom Brady was. You take control, knowing millions of others have downloaded free financial tools today.
You didn't want it, then you realize that it's time to put it back on the shelf. Sign of the times. No one's thinking about you. You ain't even going through. I wanna rendezvous. They just wanna take you out with the. Where you gonna run to? Where you gonna go to? I see you one time after time and again. You keep going back to lines and pins. You fell in love. You was in love. Ooh, you was in love. You was in love with a ninja like me. I take the time to get you what you need. Let's go now on a rendezvous. Once in a lifetime, baby. They wanna break us and tear it down. No one was there, not even your friends. What are you gonna do? I was your biggest fan. More than a lifeline, more than a whisper. I see you one time after time and again. You keep going back to lions and dens. You fell in love. You was in love. Ooh, you was in love. You was in love with a ninja like me. I take
Now
the time to
to
get
our
you what you
series
need.
across the platforms of NBC News.
Let's go now on a rendezvous.